One of the other features of the government response to the corona pandemic and the economic recession slowdown that occurred as a result was that while it opened up the fiscal tap, where it spent quite a bit more than was originally envisaged, some people say that direct income support for the underprivileged, for the weaker sections, and for the small and perhaps micro enterprises across the country is still lacking. Do you think the forthcoming budget should keep this in mind and appropriately respond to the evolving situation?
So we had, Siddharth, we had a few suggestions to the government. One is, of course, to continue with the support through MNREGA, because that has been substantial and that has been important. So one is to continue with that as much as is required to make sure that the recovery is complete, particularly in the rural sector. The second part is to say, how is it that we can spend more on creating health infrastructure? Because if you really look at household incomes at the middle class and the lower middle class and the poorer people, you know, they've been hit by the fact that their health expenditure has been far more than they'd budgeted 2 years back or 3 years back. So there is a concern that household budgets are under stress, household balance sheets are under stress because incomes have been hit. If the family is working in some of the sectors that have been more impacted by COVID, jobs have been hit and expenses have gone up in some of these areas. So there is a concern. Those are the households that need support. At the lower levels, you have MNREGA. At a more higher level, it's more about how can you secure them against such kind of unplanned for expenses in the future by great expenditure in health infrastructure, and also to create something like a pandemic pool, a pool of capital that is available to respond to any future pandemic, and that can be created over a period of time. And CIS also submitted a paper to the government on that. So I think these are all areas to be done, you know, and the more we can do about creating jobs and stability of incomes, the better chances that we will have of consumption coming back with the momentum that it had in the past.
Why do you think the government has not been able to, for example, provide greater tax write-offs for the higher medical expenditure? I'm talking of what is allowed on the personal income tax front, where there is a small amount of money that used to be deductible. Now, you yourself have mentioned that there is significant amount of medical expenditure that a lot of families have suffered. There are other issues that have come up. Do you think it's also time for the government of India, which provided a big corporate tax relief a few years back, to also do something on the personal income tax front for salaried individuals, for small business owners, for example?
You know, Siddharth, one needs to look at it in the overall context, because if you look at it from the government's perspective, they've spent far more on vaccination than they had planned to, right? By providing it across the country. So, and now with the booster shots, etc., there are a lot of expenses the government is directly incurring, which would have otherwise been incurred by the businesses, corporates, or individuals. Right? So the government needs to see how is the money best used in the most impactful way, so that it reaches all citizens.
The other side of the argument, allow me to interrupt you, the other side of the argument would be that the government has raised substantial revenues from elevated retail prices of petrol and diesel, for example, and that has been used for the vaccine point that you made. What I am trying to understand is, for a government which a few years back provided a huge tax giveaway to corporate India, is it not time to also provide some tax relief on the direct tax front to the individual taxpayers? You have GST rates, which is a completely separate budget outside the budget now.
No, I'm not arguing against that. All I'm saying is that, you know, one needs to look at how much of money the government needs to spend on what, and if it is first ideally spent on vaccines, then it should spend it on vaccines before it gives the tax relief, because the tax relief is also relevant only to a certain section of society, whereas vaccines are relevant to all sections of society. And I think, to be fair to the government, till 3-4 months back, they were also not clear how much will be the revenues vis-a-vis the expenditure. I think the GST collections have been great, the recovery has been strong, tax revenues have been strong. That probably gives the finance minister more headroom to maybe pursue some of the ideas that you're suggesting. But certainly the fiscal health looks much healthier than it was maybe 6 months back.
If the fiscal health is much better than what it was a few months back, what are the other key suggestions that you have made from a boost for growth, a booster shot for the economy?
Yeah. So the first and foremost is, of course, to continue to spend on infrastructure, because that is a force multiplier in many ways. It creates a lot of economic activity across the country because a lot of infrastructure is being built in rural areas. It creates jobs, it creates incomes for MSME sector, and it creates infrastructure which makes Indian industry more and more competitive. So I think that's an area which has multiple impacts, and we say our recommendation is please continue to spend even as much as private sector investment is slowly coming back, but let the government continue to spend on infrastructure that it has promised to, and do it quickly and efficiently, which it's trying to do. The second part is on the consumption side, which we just discussed, is to look at how do we create more stable jobs, how do we improve the quality of jobs, how can we support labor-intensive sectors as much as capital-intensive sectors, how can we create incentives around job creation, how can we support sectors like textiles, leather, etc., which is more labor-intensive, and also electronics, which the government is anyway supporting and getting a fair amount of investment. The third part is investment, or the expenditure on education is about 3% of GDP. How can we take it to at least 4% and higher? So because once you invest on education, skills, health, etc., hopefully you're dealing at a long-term fundamental level and creating more opportunities for people to go up the economic ladder. The other suggestion is also about improving the ease of doing business, so that we can continue to get more and more private sector coming in. And the last point is to build a long-term roadmap on climate change, on technology and knowledge-intensive sectors, and also to encourage a startup ecosystem. So these, in a summary, are what we've been talking about. Some of it will have a short-term impact, and some of it will have a more long-term and medium-term impact.